All right, good afternoon. I am excited to be here today with a Howard graduate who is responsible for starting our Ladies of Howard University. My name is Jeneen Beck, and one of the things that I'm interested in doing in our community is really continuing the work that I do during the day, which is implementation of a restorative approach in our communities. And so what restorative practices teaches us is that it is important to continuously build community in any way that you can. And as we're going through this crisis right now, it's just something where many people around the world I have been seeing are doing so many great things that are connecting people. There's been opportunities where you can reconnect with old classmates and all kinds of things. And so I actually met Camille through Ladies of Howard University and that initiative, which grew so quickly that I had to touch base to find out more about kind of what her thought was behind that and just a little bit about her. And so I have something that I started called Jeneen Cares. And so that is really dedicated to really helping our youth in the community. And by doing that, I really want to talk to other leaders who I think would have an influential legacy type of leadership on our youth. And so, what I'll be doing is having a series of interviews. So, she is going to tell us a little bit about herself, and we're going to hear about the initiative that she started and a little bit more. And then she's going to give us some advice. And so, I thank you today for being here. If you want to just introduce yourself again and tell us a little bit about your background and career experiences, and then tell us about Ladies of Howard University.
Okay, great. First off, Jeneen, thank you so much for inviting me and having me here. I am really honored to be here. So, my name is Camille Smith Franklin. I'm actually a Washington, D.C. native, and I went to Howard University. I work in talent development, which really means that I help people grow and develop their careers in the workplace. And my expertise is in early career development, which means my expertise is with people who have just graduated from high school or college or recently graduated and are very early in their career. So yes, you and I met through Ladies of Howard University since we're both Howard alumni, and that's why I'm here today.
All right. So what caused the vision? What made you say, let's create a group and then this exploded? Like what were we thinking? Yeah.
It did explode. So I really thought that I was just creating a group for my Howard friends, my young ladies. And it happened right at the beginning of the pandemic, right when we were ordered to stay at home.
Right.
And I actually saw my daughter on a ladies group of hers, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really nice. I don't have one like that. I think I'll start one. And it really did explode overnight. It's, I guess, about a month old, maybe a little more than a month old, and we have almost 10,000 members. And I
Wow.
think I think part of that is just the timing because it's at a time where we're all at home and looking to build human connections. I think the timing was really right, and we all just share a really deep love of our university. And it's a space for women, which I also think is important, a space where Black women can support each other and encourage each other and just cheer each other on. So, all of those things.
Yeah, I recently saw that you did a survey to kind of assess the needs of the group or kind of where they want to go with it. What were some of the results of that? What are they thinking about doing? What are some of the things that they were most interested in?
Yeah, so folks are definitely interested in their careers and in connecting with other women who are doing well in their careers. So I'm really thinking about ways to continue to grow just the professional aspect of the community. I think we've done a really good job with the social aspect
Right.
and with the profiles, really inspiring each other. So really just kind of looking to build upon that and bring more opportunities for us to come together live online, like you and I are doing right now.
Right.
That's actually how we met. You helped
Yes.
me with the first online lounge that we did
The lounge.
for the
Yes, that was
community.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. It was good. So really want to be able to do more of that.
That's outstanding. 10,000. I did not know that it had grown at that rate so quickly. I mean, the last time I checked, it was about 8,000 or 9,000. So kudos to you. Amazing work, visionary leadership, legacy. I mean, that's going to be there for even beyond this pandemic. So that's amazing. And I can't wait to see what kind of things come out of that. So what has been on your mind? As I think about restorative practices, we always want to promote reflection. What are some of the things that you've been thinking about as the crisis continues?
I think, like everyone, I'm thinking about the future and what the future will look like for us. What will human connections be in the future? So I'm really just trying to stay as connected as possible with my friends and family and the folks that I love now using technology, but also wondering, like, what is the balance going to be in the future? How will we connect? Will we be able to, connect in person, or will we continue to leverage platforms like this, like Zoom and Facebook and things like that?
Absolutely. I know everyone at Howard is wondering about homecoming and will we be able to get together for Howard homecoming? And
Right. That was high on the list for the ladies.
yeah,
An in-person gathering during homecoming.
exactly. Well, thank you so much. What has been the hardest thing for you personally? Again, going back to restorative practices, that reflection and, kind of just, I feel like we're all grieving kind of because of the restrictions that we have in place. So what's been the hardest thing for you?
I think a lot of things. One is that I think this situation has been a lesson in how we're all interconnected, and what one person does affects the other.
Mhm.
And so I've just been reflecting a lot on that. So, for example, when I do go out, I wear a mask. But we wear the mask really to protect others, and so that's been on my mind a lot. Like, what is everyone doing, not just for themselves, but for the other person? So that's been on my mind a lot. I think also just I'm a touchy feely person.
Yeah,
And so, that physical connection and touch has been on my mind a lot, and kind of missing my loved ones. Luckily, I have my daughter here with
yeah.
me. So, we stay connected, and that really, really helps a lot. But I am also looking forward to when I can see my friends and the rest of my family as well.
Absolutely. I know that I feel like I have a daughter and a son, and I have three stepdaughters. And so we all are feeling that too in terms of bonding together. I feel like the relationships are giving an opportunity to strengthen them during this time. But yeah, I think there's also a rise in kind of, a little bit of nerve and angst about the future. So thank you for
Yeah,
that
and I
reflection.
also, I think about how not everyone has someone else in the household with them,
Yes.
and so that's on my mind a lot. I've tried to stay connected with my friends who I know are living individually, but that's really another thing, like that, trying to bring that sense of community to others who might be kind of sheltering in place by themselves.
Absolutely. That is definitely something for us to think about. And groups like the Ladies of Howard University are excellent opportunities for people to connect. Hence the participation you had on that first Ladies Lounge. People just showed up, even without having any knowledge ahead of time of what it might look like or who would, and people were sharing and everything. We had a lot of people
It
really
was, yeah,
feeling their hearts during that call. So that's
it
amazing.
was.
So, what are some of the positive things that you're doing, or you're doing with your daughter or by yourself, just, that are in your control? Because a lot of times, there's a lot of restrictions, so we can't control certain things. But what are some positive things that you are doing that maybe somebody who listens to this could benefit from?
Yeah, so I mean, the community is high on the list. My daughter and I have been bonding. It's funny, I was thinking about how, so she's 21, she's a college student herself, and so she did have to come home,
Oh,
because of this. But I've been a working mom her whole life, and so before she was born, I used to cook like a lot. Like, I really enjoyed cooking, but raising her and working full time, food was more utilitarian, and I didn't cook a lot. We go out to eat a lot, and we can't go out to
sounds
eat right
familiar.
now. So I have been cooking a lot, and she has been enjoying that, and I've actually been enjoying it as well. I don't think I will ever get to the point where I will want to cook 3 days, 3 meals a day, every day if I don't have to. But I have enjoyed kind of being back in the kitchen and showing my love through the food that I am making for her. So that's definitely been one other thing beyond the community. And then I think at work, one of the things that I've taken on at work, I work in a global company, so we have offices around the world,
Nice.
but we're all working from home right now. And so what I've taken on is helping us all to stay engaged through this period. Because again, we have a lot of workers in our organization who are young and either living alone or living with roommates and don't necessarily have the connection with friends and family right now.
Right.
So working to keep them engaged and productive from a work point of view, but also kind of extending that to help make sure that they're staying connected beyond work and are maintaining a healthy balance between work and non-work, because it's really hard when you're in the house all the time. The lines between work and personal time blur. And so really wanting to people to kind of take care of themselves, both physically, but also mentally and emotionally. So that's something else that I'm proud of, having taken on that role in my organization.
What does that look like? Is that like a social committee type of thing, or wellness checks, or?
Pretty much. We call it an engagement committee. I started an engagement committee. The first thing that we did was I set up a WebEx Teams group. So it was a place where no matter where you were on the globe, you could come in there, and I called it Diligence Life. The name of our team is Diligence. So the space is called Diligence Life. And I said it's essentially a virtual break room. So if we were in the
Nice.
office, you would go into the break room and kind of hang out. Well, when you're ready for a break, you can come in here and shoot the breeze with whoever's online at the time. We've been posting pictures of our family, of our pets, of the view out the window, things like that. And that has grown. So we now have a cooking challenge each week where we choose an ingredient, and then folks enter submissions of things that they've cooked using that ingredient, and we choose a winner each week. So just things like that. On the more kind of mental health side, we also did a webinar on our employee assistance program, which many people didn't know about, but allows them to get free one-on-one virtual counseling. So for the folks that were feeling, whatever, down or isolated or things like that, just bringing awareness to them of the different resources that are available. And then lastly, we also did a kind of financial planning during COVID session.
Excellent.
Yeah, to help people kind of manage their finances during this time, because we're in unprecedented kind of economic times as a result of all of this as well.
Absolutely. It sounds like you have covered all the bases in terms of building community outside of the kind of content that you're working on. And so sounds like a great place to work. And you are very visionary in your leadership. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's very restorative in nature, using a restorative approach, kind of assessing the needs and figuring out how you can continue to build community through relationship buildings while at work and in your family. That is excellent. And so thank you. Last thing, what are some words of advice? I'm looking at, really motivating our youth. And so you have a 21-year-old. And so thinking about, either parenting of her or seeing connections between other youth in the community, what are some advice or things that you would share with parents that are, dealing with this right now, and just in general in terms of being college bound or career ready?
Yeah.
If you're kind of in both, or have experience with both?
Yeah, it's really interesting because that generation Y, or the millennials and the Gen Z generation, they are very driven. And so a lot of times my advice to my daughter, and just to folks in that generation as well, is to kind of be kind to yourself. So be driven, but also, do the best that you can. And if you've done your best, then let it go. And so that's something I say to my daughter a lot. I'm like, did you do your best? And she'll say, yeah. And I'm like, well, your best is all you can do. So, that's it. So I think that's one thing. So striving high, but also being kind to ourselves in that process. That's important. And then I think the other thing is just, and it's what we've touched upon this whole, interview, is really the importance of relationships and building relationships and building community. That's critically important just for our own personal satisfaction, but also for career success. Like careers are built on relationships. That's how people find jobs. That's how you grow and develop in your career. So I think, you know, striving high, being kind to yourself, and really nurturing and growing those relationships.
Absolutely. When I think about it from a former principal's lens, I was always telling students that you may need a recommendation letter from any of your teachers. You want to make sure that, we understand that sometimes you make mistakes, but for the most part, you want to build relationships and let people see your most authentic or your best self all the time and always
Yeah,
do the best you can do. And so that's
absolutely.
that's great. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing what else comes out of the ladies of Howard University. Happy Mother's Day to you. And
Thank
I
you.
look
Same to
forward to
you.
connecting again soon.
Great. Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
You too.